Anyone who hasn't yet had a chance to ask a question, who'd like to ask a question?
I've got on a different topic.
Thank you.
Julia Garrett from Radio New Zealand again. Fiji isn't attending this forum. Are you disappointed that Frank Rama isn't coming?
No, they are. Thank you. They are here. They're here.
Oh.
Just one more on asylum seekers, President. Would you like to see all of those the refugees resettled in third countries? And if it came down to it, would you be prepared to accept them here indefinitely?
We have our own laws, and it has been made clear right at the start when we signed the MOU that refugees will not be settled in Nauru. They cannot. So they will need to move on. So they treat this as a transition to their next destination.
So would you urge Australia and New Zealand and other countries to sort of get on with it?
Yeah, yes, it's always a process. They're all working hard to do that. Yes.
But it's been, Mr. President, it's been 5 years now. Can you see that some of them are giving up hope and are suffering from these syndromes?
I don't know. You know, they're living with us. They're living among us, and you know, they're running their lives normally, just like any other Nauruans. They provided all the services that are available to the Nauruans, and you know, we live together very happily.
Mr. President, what would it mean financially for Nauru if that arrangement with Australia came to end? And what other ways there are for Nauru to support the economy?
Well, we live quite you know, comfortably. We have our own industry. We have fisheries, but you know, as I said, you know, this is a special arrangement, and so it won't. It doesn't mean anything to us.
So what the money doesn't mean anything to us?
No, I think I read his question as it might affect our lives.
Oh, if it
Yeah, no, well,
oh, sorry.
so I'm not talking about the money.
Happy to take one more question on some of the issues relating to the meeting.
Yes.
So today, if anyone has
That would be really helpful.
Well, can I add a little bit to this? The problem is we're addressing the wrong part of the refugee issue. You're addressing the disease. We need to go and address the cause of all this disease. And I wish that more of our questions would be directed at what do you think we ought to do to minimize the refugee issue in the world? Coming here to Nauru and asking Nauru about what do you think about this. Nauru has done enough to support the few refugees that made it to their shores. The question of whether they want to be resettled in their own countries. No, they don't want to go back to their own countries. They left those countries for good reasons. And so I think that together all of us should address the question of what is it that we can do to minimize or put to a stop the issue of creating situation of refugees.
Yes, Nick, one final question.
So, Meg, in your opening remarks at SIS, you suggested that the work program set out in recent years hadn't been moving as fast. I'm wondering if all three panellists could comment about what are the roadblocks to addressing the range of issues that SIS have done about, you know, funding facilities, about representation in the Secretariat and so on.
But it's not for a want of expenditure of the resources of the crop agencies, let me put it that way. 15% of the budget of PIF, we do commit to the SIS because we think it's important. They are the small island states, and many of them the most vulnerable because of the climatic impact. I think that capacity is a huge issue. And we have set up programs for exchange where, oh, not exchange, but for placement of people from SIS countries to come into the Secretariat to work. Only 2 countries have taken that up, Tuvalu and Nauru was the first. And I think that part of the issue is that sparing an individual from a small country with very, very small bureaucracies who have to cover so much is a big gap. But after having that discussion today, and also explaining to the leaders that we will also have a crop exchange as well, so somebody can go through all the crop, work in SBCs, BREP, whatever. The first quarter of next year we will open that up, and hopefully more SIS countries will come. But it's imperative that the skilling up of people from the SIS in the kind of work that we do in the various different key results areas that we have, in the economic issues, in the political issues, and the security issues, it's very important for us to make that happen. And also in the technical aspects with SBC and SPREP. And FFA have a very good program, particularly on fisheries, but it's getting young people, getting people into other areas of work.
Yes. Yes, I think capacity issues is the most the issue here, really, because we find this very difficult to get programs done without the technical, and specialized people on the ground, and even applying for our own little projects here and there is difficult. And can you imagine applying for a huge project in GCF? It's the capacity issue, and so things are a bit slow. It takes time, and we'll keep on coming back and discussing the same sort of things every year. And it's not that we're not interested, it's just that we just don't have the capacity.
If I may, just on areas that we won't do any more work on is on air services. Countries didn't want to share their confidential information in terms of agreements, understood, but it's better that we put our energy and resources into other things. Upper airspace is a big issue for some of our countries that lose a lot of money from other countries having control of their airspace. I think Nauru has been an example in the Pacific where they have contracted that to the government of Queensland, if I may.
Yes.
But Mr. President may like to speak on that, because this is a key example of what the commercial aspects of upper airspace and the income generation for countries.
Yes. Yes, with regards to that, we had to cancel all the other arrangements with other managers and have just one organisation handle all our airspace, collecting revenues and fees. It worked out very well for us. The problem, because we're discussing this quite regularly with other small island states, they have numerous companies, handling theirs. Some in the United States, some elsewhere, Fiji and other places, New Zealand. So that all those need to be consolidated, and probably best that they have just one company handle manage their airspace for them. They start seeing the revenue come in that way. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you very much.